The holidays had arrived in Friends, and the apartment looked like a Christmas explosion. There were twinkling lights on every wall, a giant wreath on the door, and enough fake snow to make New York City think it was in a blizzard. In the middle of it all stood Monica Geller. And Monica had a problem. A very sugary problem. Too much candy. Monica had decided to make homemade holiday candy for everyone in the building. Chocolate fudge, peanut brittle, peppermint bark, caramel clusters. She spent 3 days cooking non-stop. By the end, her kitchen looked like Willy Wonka had rented it for the weekend. Bowls everywhere, chocolate on the ceiling, and a mountain of candy boxes stacked taller than Joey Tribbiani. Monica smiled proudly. I made 427 pieces. Chandler Bing blinked. Great, so we're prepared if Santa opens a Costco. The first taste. Monica delivered candy to the neighbors. At first, she expected a polite, thank you. Instead, something unexpected happened. The next morning, there was a knock on the door. A neighbor stood there nervously. Do you have more of those caramel clusters? Monica grinned. Of course. An hour later, another knock. Then another. Then 6 people formed a line in the hallway. One man whispered, I need the peppermint bark. Another said, my wife won't speak to me unless I bring home more fudge. Monica's eyes sparkled. People loved her candy, and Monica loved being needed. Candy mania. Soon, the apartment turned into a full-scale candy store. Neighbors rang the bell day and night. Monica wore an apron that said, Candy Queen. Joey opened the door and shouted, take a number. Phoebe Buffet played holiday songs on guitar for customers waiting in line. Smelly candy, what are they feeding you? Monica was in heaven. Every time someone said, this is amazing, she glowed. The breaking point. 3 days later, Monica hadn't slept. Her hair was wild. There was powdered sugar on her face. Her hands smelled like chocolate and peppermint. Yet she kept cooking. Ross Geller entered the kitchen. Monica, when was the last time you rested? Monica stirred fudge furiously. Rest is for people whose candy isn't perfect. Chandler looked at her. You've become the sugary version of a Bond villain. Joey's secret operation. Joey had a different problem. He was eating the profits. Every time Monica turned around, Joey sneaked another piece. Monica counted. Wait, there should be 68 caramel clusters. Joey froze. There are, emotionally, 68. Monica narrowed her eyes. Joey's cheeks were stuffed like a squirrel. Rachel's business idea. Rachel Green walked in with excitement. Monica, we should sell this stuff. Monica gasped. Sell it? Rachel nodded. Holiday candy by Monica Geller. We could make a fortune. Monica imagined her own store. Elegant boxes, gold ribbons, customers lining up around the block. Her eyes widened. This is my destiny. The great candy disaster. Monica doubled production, then tripled it. The kitchen was overwhelmed. Chocolate overflowed. Caramel bubbled dangerously. Peppermint exploded in the blender. Phoebe screamed, the candy is fighting back! At the worst possible moment, the power went out. Everything stopped. The chocolate hardened. The caramel seized. The fudge turned into what Chandler called construction material. Monica stared in horror. Weeks of work were ruined. Monica breaks down. Monica sat on the floor, surrounded by broken candy. Her voice trembled. I just wanted to make people happy. The apartment became quiet. Chandler sat beside her. You did. Monica looked up. But now there's no candy. Chandler smiled softly. Mon, people weren't coming because they needed candy. They were coming because they loved what you made. And because they love you. Monica's eyes filled with tears. Even Joey stopped chewing. For a moment. The neighborhood surprise. There was a knock at the door, then another, and another. Monica opened it. The entire building stood outside. Each neighbor held something. Fresh chocolate, butter, sugar, peppermints. One elderly woman stepped forward. You made our holidays sweeter. Now let us help you. Monica covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Candy-making party. The apartment transformed into a holiday workshop. Ross carefully measured ingredients. Rachel decorated gift boxes. Phoebe sang festive songs. Joey taste-tested every batch. Quality control, he explained. Chandler placed labels on the boxes. Warning, may cause extreme happiness. Monica looked around at her friends and neighbors. Her dream had become bigger than candy. It had brought everyone together. Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, the final boxes were delivered. The apartment was warm. The trees sparkled. Snow fell outside the windows of New York City. Monica handed Chandler the last caramel cluster. You know, she said, I thought perfect candy would make this holiday special. Chandler smiled. No, perfect people did. Monica leaned against him. For once, she wasn't worried about recipes or timing. She was simply happy. Final narration. That holiday season, Monica learned something important. The sweetest part of the holidays isn't chocolate, it isn't caramel, and it isn't peppermint bark. It's the people who show up when everything melts down. And sometimes, the best gifts come wrapped not in ribbons, but in friendship. In the heart of New York City, 2 best friends, Jake and Ryan, were always looking for easy money. One Friday night, Ryan burst into their tiny apartment holding his phone. Bro, I found a way we can make $500 in one weekend. Jake looked up from eating cold pizza. Last time you said that, we ended up selling your couch by accident. This is different, Ryan said proudly. Apartment swapping? Jake blinked. What's that? We let tourists stay here while we stay somewhere else for free. Jake looked around the messy apartment. Dirty socks, empty soda cans, a mysterious smell coming from the kitchen. You think people will pay to stay here? Ryan smiled. Americans will pay for anything if you call it authentic. So they posted photos online, but Ryan used filters, lots of filters. The apartment looked like a luxury penthouse instead of a place where even the cockroaches looked disappointed. The next day, a rich couple from Los Angeles arrived. The woman smiled politely. Oh, wow, this place looked bigger online. Ryan quickly replied, it's a European-style apartment. Jake whispered, what does that even mean? Tiny, Ryan whispered back. Meanwhile, Jake and Ryan went to the apartment they swapped for, and it was huge. A giant TV, free snacks, soft beds. Jake jumped onto the couch. We're living the American dream. Then suddenly, a loud bark echoed through the apartment. Jake froze. Ryan, why is there a dog staring at us? Ryan checked his phone. Oh, small detail. We also have to babysit Mr. Pickles. A massive bulldog growled at them while chewing Ryan's sneaker. For the next 24 hours, chaos exploded. Mr. Pickles destroyed the couch. Jake accidentally activated the home alarm 3 times. Ryan got trapped in a smart bathroom for an hour. And somehow, Jake ordered 200 chicken wings using the owner's voice-controlled TV. Back at their apartment, the tourist couple was suffering too. The sink leaked. The Wi-Fi password didn't work. And at 2 a.m., the upstairs neighbor started practicing drums. By Sunday night, everyone was exhausted. The tourists returned the keys. The husband sighed. Interesting experience. The wife added. Very authentic. Jake smiled nervously. Please leave a 5-star review. The husband nodded. Only if you explain why there was a raccoon in the hallway. Jake slowly looked at Ryan. Ryan shrugged. He pays rent too.
In the quiet town of Hawkins, something never really stays normal for long. Ever since the events of Stranger Things, the air itself seemed to hum with secrets. One stormy night, Max noticed something strange again. The lights in her room flickered, but not randomly. They blinked in a pattern. On, off, on, on. Guys, she said over the walkie-talkie, her voice tense. It's happening again. Within minutes, Lucas, Dustin, and Mike gathered at her house. 11 stood quietly near the window, her eyes focused, as if she could feel something the others couldn't. It's not just electricity, Dustin whispered. It's communication. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. A faint, distorted voice echoed through the static. Help. Me. Everyone froze. That's not Will, Mike said, fear creeping into his voice. 11 stepped forward. It's from the upside down. The room went silent. They followed the signals to the old abandoned arcade at the edge of Hawkins. The building looked dead, but inside the machines flickered like they were alive. Then they saw it. A shadow moved along the wall. Not quite human, not quite monster. The lights flashed again. On, off, on. 11 raised her hand, focusing. The shadow stopped. I know you're there, she said softly. The shape slowly formed into a figure. A boy, lost, trapped between worlds. I've been here, Odd, for so long, he said. The group exchanged glances. Another victim. Another secret buried by Hawkins. We'll get you out, Mike promised. But the lights flickered violently, and then everything went dark. Stop with the broom. We're not making noise. We won! Mr. Heckles, how did this happen? They think he was sweeping. They found a broom in his hand. That's terrible. I was sleeping yesterday. It could have been me. Yeah, you never know. I can still feel him here. Go into the light, Mr. Heckles. Phoebe, I'm sorry, but sometimes they need help. Ross. Hi. Are you a friend of Rachel's? Yes. Actually, I'm kind of her date. Oh, you're the date. This is good. If we lose Ross, we've got a spare. You're the paleontologist? Yes. And you're a dentist? Yeah. Total opposites. Anyway, nice meeting you. Same here. Oh, I met Russ. Wait, you're dating someone else? We're not dating, remember? Well, there's a woman at the museum who's into me. I've been ignoring her, but if this is how it is, yeah, this is how it is. Okay, have a nice evening. You too. She's dating? Yes, she's dating.
Title: The Empty Chair. Every evening, an old man came to the same small cafe and sat across from an empty chair. He would order 2 cups of coffee, one for himself, one for the chair. The workers thought it was strange, but he always smiled kindly and tipped well. One day, a young waitress finally asked, "Sir, why do you always order 2 coffees?" The old man looked at the empty chair and smiled softly. "My wife and I used to come here every day for 42 years. The waitress's smile faded. "I'm sorry." He nodded gently. "She passed away last winter." The waitress quietly reached for the extra cup to take it away, but the old man stopped her. "No, leave it there." "Why?" she whispered. The old man looked at the untouched coffee and said, "Because for 42 years, she never let me drink alone."
In a small cafe in New York City, 4 friends, Jake, Emma, Ryan, and Lily, met every Friday night. Life got busy after college. Different jobs, different schedules. But they had one rule. No matter what, Friday night is for us. One evening, Jake sent a message. "Guys, I got a job in California. I'm moving next week." The group went quiet. Ryan tried to joke, "So you're leaving us already?" But everyone felt it. Things were about to change. On their last Friday together, the vibe was different. Less laughter, more memories. Emma said softly, "Distance doesn't break friendships. Silence does. Promise we won't lose touch." Jake nodded, "I promise." Weeks turned into months. Calls became texts. Texts became seen. Life pulled them in different directions. Then one day, Lily sent a message. "Friday, same cafe, 7 p.m. Don't be late." One by one, they showed up. And then the door opened. Jake walked in. No words, just smiles, hugs, and that same old feeling. Jake laughed. "Guess some things never change."
Stopped outside your door. It was already too late. Chapter 1. Emily moves in. Emily Carter was 28 years old and ready for a fresh start. After a painful breakup and a stressful job in Boston, she rented a small apartment in Maplewood Apartments. Apartment 3B. The building was over 100 years old. The walls creaked, the pipes groaned, and the hallway outside her apartment stretched longer than it seemed possible. At one end stood the elevator. At the other, a single dusty window. Emily loved the quiet. For the first few days, everything felt normal, until the knocking started. Chapter 2. 3 knocks. The first time Emily heard it was at exactly 2:13 a.m. Knock, knock, knock. She sat up in bed. Her heart pounded. She checked her phone. 2:13 a.m. She opened the door. The hallway was empty. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. The next night, the same thing happened. 3 knocks, 2:13 a.m. Again, no one was there. By the 4th night, Emily asked her neighbor. Chapter 3. Mrs. Whitmore. Margaret Whitmore was an elderly woman in apartment 3A. When Emily mentioned the knocking, Mrs. Whitmore's face turned pale. "You opened the door?" Emily nodded. Mrs. Whitmore whispered, Never do that again. Emily laughed nervously. What are you talking about? Mrs. Whitmore leaned closer. 20 years ago, a tenant in 3B disappeared. She kept hearing knocks in the hallway. She opened the door every night. Then one night, she stepped outside. And she was never seen again. Emily tried to dismiss it as superstition, but that night, she locked every bolt on her door and waited. Chapter 4. Footsteps. At 2:13 a.m., the knocking returned. Knock, knock, knock. Emily stayed in bed. Then she heard footsteps, slow, heavy, dragging across the hallway carpet. Step, drag, step, drag. The sound stopped directly outside her door. Silence. Then a voice, soft and distant. Emily. She froze. No one in the building should know her voice. Then came scratching, long fingernails dragging against the wood, and then silence. At sunrise, she opened the door. 3 deep claw marks scarred the paint. Chapter 5. The security camera. Emily bought a camera and pointed it at her front door. The next morning, she reviewed the footage. At 2:13 a.m., her door shook with 3 knocks, but the hallway was empty. No one was visible. Then, frame by frame, a dark shape appeared. A silhouette, tall, thin, standing impossibly close to the camera. Its face was blank, its mouth opened wider than humanly possible, and then it whispered, "Come into the hallway." The screen went black. The camera stopped recording. Chapter 6. Apartment history. Emily searched old newspaper archives. In 2003, a woman named Sarah Bennett vanished from apartment 3B. The police found her apartment untouched. The only strange detail, the hallway carpet outside her door was soaked with water. No source was ever found. Then Emily discovered something worse. Sarah had left a journal. The final entry read, "It knocks every night. The hallway gets longer each time I look. Tonight, it said my name." Chapter 7. The hallway changes. The next night, Emily peeked through the peephole. The hallway looked wrong, far longer than usual. The elevator at the end had disappeared. The lights flickered endlessly into darkness, and standing near the window was a woman, pale, motionless, Sarah Bennett. She raised one trembling hand and mouthed 2 words, "Don't follow." Then a shadow emerged behind her. It wrapped around her body and pulled her backward into the darkness. The hallway snapped back to normal. Emily screamed. Chapter 8. No way out. Emily packed a bag and tried to leave, but when she opened her apartment door, the hallway was not the 3rd floor. It was endless. Door after door stretched into the distance, all labeled 3B, each door slightly different. From behind, some came crying, from others, whispers, and from one, Emily heard her own voice. "Help me!" She slammed the door shut. Chapter 9. The secret. Mrs. Whitmore confessed the truth. "It feeds on loneliness," she said. "It chooses people who feel trapped. The hallway becomes a place between worlds. If you answer its call, it keeps you forever." "How do I stop it?" Emily asked. Mrs. Whitmore handed her a small brass key. The first tenant buried this in the walls. It locks the door at the end of the hallway, but only one person can return. Chapter 10. 2:13 a.m. That night, Emily waited with the key. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the knocks came. Knock, knock, knock. She opened the door. The endless hallway awaited. Sarah Bennett stood at the far end. Beyond her, the shadow towered like smoke. Emily ran. The lights burst one by one.